If the CCP made a video platform that was a competitor for CIA Tube, it would be over. It would be over, right? The problem with TikTok is it's really not accessible to older people and smarter people. Yes, I'm going to say that again. TikTok is not accessible to older people and smarter people. I'm going to explain why. Younger people have shorter attention spans, and their brains, even if they're not stupid, are much more suited to like high sensation stimuli that's short in nature. Older people, their brains are more mature and formed, so that kind of communication platform is more jarring, as well as the fact a lot of the media a human brain can consume is based in early life training to accept that form of media. So you see this with like boomers, like they will not stop watching TV. And it's not just because they don't understand the internet, it's because from a young age, the only media they were trained to accept was television in nature, meaning like it's a 30-minute block at least. There's a story you have to follow. And an older brain, because in early life, when their brain is being formed, growing, and making connections, in early life, they were never exposed to this like 2-minute video where like we are unalive, and it's just like they can't handle it. Their brains can't process it the same way. Like you're born with the potential for your brain, but it's actively growing throughout your life, making connections. And there's like a certain window of development where like you'll never be able to really understand that or like that the way a person who's exposed to it at 10 years old will, right? And then, of course, stupid people, meaning like, even if your primary media exposure was long form videos with a story you follow, because you're stupid, you always struggled with that because of attentional deficits and thinking impairments. So you do better with short baby like clips. Like, if you look at something like Miss Rachel or Sesame Street, they don't try to present a story that's 30 minutes long because a baby can't follow that. So all media for babies, even if it's a 30-minute block, it's divided into like 2-minute videos. So like if you watch an episode of Miss Rachel or Sesame Street, you know, for 2 minutes, they'll be like, "Yay! What's that letter? A, good." And then they'll skip next to like doggies at the park, doggies at the park, because that's how a baby's brain works. You can't make a show for a baby where it's 30 minutes long and it's continuous story they have to pay attention to. So media for babies, like below 5 years old, is like 2-minute blocks of a mini story, right? But as you get a little older, your brain becomes able to accept the concept of a story for 30 minutes. And that's why you see this shift in media for older kids, like Disney movies. Babies can watch Disney movies, but they're not watching it like an older kid. An older kid is like, I'm following the story of the Lion King. A little baby is looking at it like, oh, they're on the rock. Oh, there's a song, and that's why media specifically for babies is 2-minute blocks. Now, if there's something wrong with your brain, you always stay in that mode forever and ever, and you'll struggle to like understand everything and media and reading. But if you have typical potential, you can eventually handle, and your brain becomes accustomed to the concept of sitting through a story. And once that happens, you can't go back to the baby mode where it's like TikTok and it's like, this hack is so good. You have to get this. I'm scrubbing and it's just coming off. These wigs are like, you can't go back. But if you introduce that to a developing brain, they'll stay stuck in a baby mode. They'll never make the connections to understand a story. But once you have, like, you can't go back. So you're like, I don't understand. Like, TikTok give me a headache. I need to go to a platform where at least the story is 10 minutes at least. I can't watch Miss Rachel for adults. I just can't do it. So in of itself, I understand that's probably a psyops to ruin our people, You know, it's a psyops to ruin our people to prevent their brain from being exposed to long story formats that allow you to absorb more information and be a stronger citizen. So it's like they're stunting their brains at a Miss Rachel level. They're not making the connections to pay attention to a story, to absorb information for 30 minutes. I get that. I understand they want to destroy us, right? But for the large group of people where we didn't grow up with shit like TikTok and we grew up with shit like TV and movies and books, and so our brains are formed around the concept of use your neurological potential in genes to be capable of understanding enough data in a story and put it together and think. We can't do TikTok. We just can't unless you're stupid or something wrong with your brain, right? Like the young are being stunted by the CCP. But once you've already developed that neurological skill, you cannot enjoy TikTok. At least if you try to use it, you're always fighting this like, oh, I have a headache. What the fuck? I have a headache. You know what I mean? So what I'm trying to say is, if the CCP really wants to dig the knife in, they should make a competitor to CIA Tube for the older people. Because I'm telling you, there's a whole nexus of people my age who are sick of CIA Tube. I'm sick of logging on CIA Tube, and this is my recommendations. This worker at Walmart tried to steal, but don't worry, the cops and the billionaires are going to flog them in public. This person was a bad worker. Look at how crazy they are. Get a fascist tie with the CIA and the billionaires as you laugh at them and say, you're not them. You didn't steal from your job. Loser, idiot, weak, poor. Oh, very serious video. People on Skid Row, people who are homeless. It's all their fault. They have, they're mentally ill and they don't want to work. They want to do drugs. So, the poor in this country, it's their fault. View yourself as superior to them. Look at these freaks. And again, CA Tube and Google and billionaires are your friends and you're as powerful as them. I'm sick of it. And then like the political content is like, you got ContraPoints encouraging the culture war. Never, ever, ever mention the billionaire class. She's doing this and she's like, this is her shtick. Like, as a good girl, I speak very softly, and I never let my displeasure be known. But here's some culture war shit. Well, I pretend to be progressive, but I'm going to direct your ire to this distraction. I'm literally the inversion of Blair White, but you won't figure that out because you've decided Blair White because she's on the wrong side of the culture war. But no, I'm on the right side of the culture war. Look at my set. Look at how glamorous. And then you got Blair White like, I walk with Christ. These trannies gotta go, even though I'm trans too. That's all it is. All it is. But then you click on TikTok, right? You click on TikTok, right? Now, other than the brain frying nature of it, it's literally designed to stunt growth of the human brain to ever be able to learn anything. But it's like the complete you see no videos praising cops, praising getting bad workers, praising, hating, and blaming the poor. It's always people like Luigi Mangione. The CEO of United Healthcare was very much in a hot spot for insider trading with other elites in America. Is it possible he's a patsy? It's shit like that. Like I want you to think about your society and your elites. Are they really on your side? and much more leftist in nature. Real leftist, not ContraPoints leftist, where she's like, I'm going to expertly avoid talking about economic equality and be the other side of the culture war. This will substantiate progressivism now. And by the way, I love Google Revolution. Oh, and Mr. Beast, let's not forget that shit. Google Tube, CIA Tube be promoting Mr. Beast, which is literally the exact same psychology as my cult. Like, this rich guy is literally named Mr. Beast. He's a savage. He's a subhuman, but his life is better than yours. He's worth more than you. He has more capital. That makes him a king god, immortal. Your only duty is to do anything for him, ritualistically show your life is worthless. And then Mr. Beast pats you on the head and gives you a cookie, like a dog doing tricks, and you give them a biscuit, and then they're so thankful. That's you to Mr. Beast. He's a great guy. He does a lot of charity. He's doing charity by ritually dehumanizing the poor and conditioning you. His life is worth more than yours. Should we tax Mr. Beast so he can't do this and just provide for everybody? Hell fucking no. Mr. Beast is an immortal king god. And by being close to Mr. Beast, I'm a winner too. And he's a really good guy. I'll dehumanize myself for money. Like, it's literally the same thing as Google Revolution, just without the fake left slant. Like, you could take away the fake left slant of my cult, and it's fucking Mr. Beast all over again, right? But Mr. Beast is for like a politically neutral audience, more right leaning, if anything. And but it's the same. That's the psychology they want you to think. Your life is worthless. You're where you are because that's just immutable feudal shit. And fascist psychology, the main difference between a feudal system and fascism, which is post-industrial feudalism, is in fascism you can have upward mobility if you're in the right group. You know, because there's the specialness of the classes born at birth. And you serve the king gods unquestionably, being willing to do horrors, abominations, and self-dehumanization to get their favor. That's not featured in a proper feudal system where there's no class mobility. But otherwise, it's the same. And the reason they need that caveat in post-industrial feudalism, fascism, is because the leaders of the fascist system are not there by a bloodline. They're there by holding capital, right? So capital starts to, in fascism, capital becomes the blood of Wotan, right? And whoever controls that society. In context, classes that are also have, there's a level of innate traits, obviously, in fascism. But there, it's still very much capital becomes like evidence of how good of the species you are, right? So because of that fact, whereas in a feudal system, it's like, I'm obviously the descendant of Wotan. Hello, you can't move up. Like, because of the nature of that system, they need to allow some class mobility, but it's entirely contingent upon serving them, not what you actually do or produce. In fact, degeneracy is rewarded because the degeneracy is proof you're completely devoted to the immortal, and they use the same tricks to make you support a king. Like, they're immortal, they never die, they're untouchable. But there's that less that it's because I'm born as the descendant of Wotan. It's because I'm the best example of the people, the group, and I have the most money, which means I'm the best, wisest, whatever example, and that's why I'm here, right? There's some class mobility only surrounding serving the king god, whereas that's not required in a proper feudal system because of the rigid blood hierarchies. And because fascism is always a revolution from some other system, whether it's feudalism or in this case, democratic liberalism, they need that to get helpers. You don't need helpers in an established feudal system. They're all set. They all have their delusions where they were born. But when you're making a fascist revolution, whether it's over a monarch, or the Kaiser, or the fucking democratic liberal system, you need that to get helpers who agree to this quasi-fascist post-industrial form of feudalism. Anyway, there's nothing but inception after inception of that on Google too. I'm sick of it, bro. TikTok has cuter animal videos. And I would love the kind of TikTok political content because I hate our elites. We're a disgusting scum nation. The U.S. are absolutely ravaged us. Our elites literally worship Satan and selfishness. And they have no insight that comes from our enemies. So I would love if I could watch CCP YouTube with like 10-minute or longer videos that is not a spastic rot the American youth brain format, stunt it from growing and making connections. Um, but like just not have to look at Google tubes, CIA tubes bullshit. Like, let's all beat this worker who tried to outsmart Walmart. Oh, Mr. Beast. Oh, oh, King God Immortal at the top. Like, to a CCP be like, your elites are against you. You need to hate this country. And they're right. I mean, it may be because they perverted us so much, but they're not wrong. So it is what it is, right? I'd rather listen to CCP tell me like my leaders are disgusting because I know they are, and they were all corrupted by the USSR. Like the number one media platform, Google, was literally spearheaded by a USSR agent. So, like, hello, of course they're disgusting. Everything happening is because of that, right? But at least it's like, even if they did this to us, the fact of the matter is it worked. So they're disgusting, right? And the only hope for human civilization at this point is China, right? They literally want their citizens strong. They want them educated. So if you're born in China, they're trying to boost you up. In this country, because they introduced Satanism and occult worship and selfish is a good person. Like they're stepping on us, bro. Like anyone with any sense of American pride and wanting to uplift the people as part of their ego as a leader is gone. Has been gone for decades, even if they're the ones that did it to us using the USSR as a patsy, not a patsy, as a Trojan horse to do it, because it's easier for Russian spies to blend in our society. No one would clock Sergey Brin, right? He's got a light complexion, Caucasian features. They would clock someone born in China simply because it's harder for them to physically blend in as I'm American as apple pie. I want to join your CIA. That's why they used Russia to destroy us, because it's easier for those people to seamlessly blend in, especially years and years ago. Um, now that we're far along, you see shit like Justin Sun, clearly some kind of Chinese intelligence agent to like use our own degeneracy against us. I'm sure of it. But you didn't see that. Back then, all the spies were Russian, pretending to be Americans. And they only introduced shit like Justin Sun later, now that it's like so far gone. Like obvious CCP shills to destroy us, or like Trump's like, come and bribe me. I love it so much. And then that special boy that winning in Mar-a-Lago. All of us are narcissistic sociopaths who worship Satan and ourselves because, the Russians were working on us alongside with the CCP to make us a fucking joke society. Yeah, I don't give a fuck if it's obvious bribery. Somebody, a CCP agent to make us a corrupt shithole they could try. I don't give a shit. But back in the day when it was like, I will not be uh dirty. I won't look like a slob. I want you to respect us. But here's all this shit to start the authoritarian state like China and Russia. Like they couldn't pull that shit. Now they can. So they had to use agents that like could be plausible deniability, Americanized and pro-America, not Russia, to get her done. But everything Brin and Google did was to make us a soft bed for China and Russia to fuck us up, right? From the day that they did my plot, which was a few days after Google established, and literally a few days after the Patriot Act was signed in 9/11, right? Always a plot to control all of you. Stupid, make you fascist. Like, and now you look in the Google tube, it's nothing but the same fucking psychology packaged in different ways, right? Your life is worthless. The capital billionaires are immortal gods. Blah 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 blah. Blah, you're a fucking slave, And it's but the difference in the CCP is they actually care about this part, right? Like if you like even the Chinese flag, right? I was actually I use Sheen, right? Because I say to myself, if I'm gonna give someone money, I'd rather give it to the CCP for their factories and not Jeff Bezos and his shithole shareholders. Because I hate these people. I hate them so much, right? They're selling Chinese shit too. It's just they're skimming the top for some fucking reason. And their only thing is like, you can get it tomorrow. I was like, I don't need it tomorrow. I'm not an impulsive shithead. I use them when I need something tomorrow for real, but like, there's no reason to pay these fuckers who are evil. I'd rather pay the Chinese factories directly because I have more hope for China at this point, for real. And in this game, they have a game where you can get like a coupon off the shit, right? And they have a faux national American nationalist theme with the Statue of Liberty and a beagle dressed up as America. And I'm just laughing. How many dumb MAGAs like my sister be using this and they think this is pro-American? They're literally depicting America as a dog hypnotized by something to the east with the Statue of Liberty in the background as the dog dressed in an American flag looks away towards the east. And he's got a CCP star in his chest, and every so often an animation bursts over his face with the 2 stars of the people and the 4 stars at his side as he jumps for more treats. Oh my god, I love it. I'm like, oh, that's such an epic diss, brah. Such an epic diss. They're depicting us as a hypnotized beagle under the control of China, looking away from the Statue of Liberty. With the CCP star festooned where name tag should be, and the 4 stars of the people surrounding him and covering his eyes. I love it. I also love that they care about the symbolism of the flag, which is seen in that graphic. Like, the symbolism of the Chinese Communist flag is the star is the government, and each of the 4 stars represents the class's unity, right? And you can see that in that animation, like he's just like consumerism, and the 4 stars flourish every time he jumps for joy. Yeah, so I'm pulling for China at this point. I mean, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. If I could control the world, which I can't at all, I would make the communist world lose, and I would have cleaned up the pre-existing corruption in America so that we shifted towards a democratic liberal nation. For real, because we were always corrupt and always the least democratic and the least liberal. Um, but since that's not going to happen, and they use our weaknesses against us, they sold a cult of Satanism and worshiping yourself to our elites after they gave up trying to sell them communism to make them so weak and so easy to manipulate to destroy their own country. Both the progs and the mags, of course. And they're all just in a cult of worshiping themselves, and there's nobody advocating for the American people. So, given it's over, I have no choice but with the stakes that are in the world before me that the future belongs to China, and I have the most hope for them. And I want to see them rise above us, simply because, given nobody is now pitching for the American people, if America remains successful, it only represents this crony, disgusting mafia being successful. It's like Russia, right? In Russia, nobody's representing the people. They've been a crony mafia that literally works with the lowest scum criminals in Russia, like us. So when Russia goes broke, I just get happy because the people who are benefiting are the worst people who shit on and oppress the Russian people, literally using garbage scum criminals to partner with the Kremlin. So I can only hope the same thing happens here because I know for a fact that's what they're doing. They're partnering with the garbage, with the most corrupt, the ones who fall the most for fascist psychology. And if they go broke and lose, that would just make me happy because China, even if they're an authoritarian state, it's a surveillance state, they actually care what happens to their people a little bit, and they're trying to make them smart and educated and skilled. That makes sense. Yeah.